So it's been a while since I've been in my hangar, and I had a little bit of an idea, shall we say. Obviously, Star Citizen has now made it so not only can you just take like the two ships out, the Hornet and I think it was the Retaliator, but you can now take a good few ships out. The Hornet, the Mustang, the 350R, the Intercept, and the Aurora, and I've just thought, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little experiment, my own personal experiment. I'm going to get myself in one of my ships, or a couple of the ships, and give them a little fly, give them a bit of a test flight, see what I think, maybe crash them into things, and give my own personal views on the ship as it stands. So we'll just let's have a little quick log on to the Arena Commander here. And we'll get with the first ship. So obviously these are the options you get at the minute. We'll just go for the free flight. You've got the different ships there. You've got the Hornet, Mustang, 350R, the M50 Interceptor, the Aurora. We're going to go for the Hornet. We'll give that a launch, shall we? Get ourselves in this thing. Everybody's familiar with this particular ship, I believe, because obviously everyone's had a little play in it. I don't mind it. I don't mind this ship actually. It's probably, from what I've read on it, it's going to be the most versatile of the ships. I think it's going to be the one that's going to give you the most options really from the get-go for the best price. It's got, you can have a crew of maybe generally one, but they've got the Super Hornet, which I don't know if they're going to re-release that, so you can buy that. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. But there will be the Super Hornet, which has got two. Which I think will give a different sort of gameplay if you're both in this. If you've got a friend or you're going to taxi somebody, this ship to me, if I'm going to fly these around in third person as well, guys, is it's got a lot going on. You can see the thrusters, you can see everything that's going on. It's a very busy ship when it's in space, and it's. I don't know if anybody agrees with me, and I'd advise you to maybe do this experiment yourself. But the ships do have their own feel. It's not a massive difference, but you can see that the game engine and everything's coming along really good. This ship's got a lot going on. You can see all the little thrusters and everything. You can see there's a lot gone into the animation. The ship itself is it's a brute. The only way I could describe it is it's a brute basically. It's a fighter. It's one of these ships where it's a veteran. It's served its time. I think it's going to be one of the ships you start off with for the campaign. There you can see. Look, you can tell she's a tough old cookie. She served the time, and I think to start with, this is going to be one of the ships that you're going to be able to basically rack out the best to start with. I could be wrong. Obviously, it's just this, as you well know, I do these videos from the offset. I jump into the pilot seat, I play it as if I was just playing it really, rather than just looking into it too deep. I've got the general facts and figures. I'm not going to give you all that sort of stuff. It can be anything. It can be a personal transport. It can be a fighter. It can be a bomber. It can be it can do cargo. It can do scanning. But you can see from this, it's quite a skittish little ship and gets around the asteroids, right? And I'm doing all this obviously from outside of the cockpit, which even to some good pilot, I'm not saying I'm a good pilot, it's quite difficult to do, because obviously you don't really get a grasp, I don't think, at this stage. You don't have all the instruments that you need in the cockpit to give you that sense of control so far, and even in the cockpit I don't feel like I'm in full control, and like the combat sims and everything. It's definitely getting there, and this ship is It's definitely one of the better ships to start off with from my point of view. It's got everything you need, and it will have everything you need. So we'll go on to the next one, the Mustang. I think it is the Mustang Gamma. This is, I think the Gamma's the racing ship. It's outfitted to be a racing ship. I think that these Mustangs it's all right. It's a nice little ship, but when you see it come up now, it's the Mustangs, the Gamma's the racing, and the Beta is the touring exploration. That's right. It's this ship. I like this ship. It's cute, but it reminds me of those little pond skippers that you see. You know, it doesn't look tough. Even though I do crash this in a few minutes, and you'll notice, and you do look cool in it. That's the other thing I wanted to bring up. You know, all the pilots look pretty cool in your little surroundings. It's the same with the Hornet as well. And it doesn't look tough, but it takes a bit of a kicking, does this ship. It surprised me. But on the flip side of that, it does look like you could snap it very easily. But this is the racing version, so I can't really say anything. I'm assuming that the touring exploration is going to be the same sort of thing. There's not going to be much difference in it. Like the Hornet, sorry, it's got a lot going on with it. There's not a massive amount, but you can see all the little thrusters, you can see what's going on, and it is good for little just nipping around the asteroids and everything. It doesn't, to me, this ship doesn't have a presence about it. This to me is just a racing ship. This is just one. This one doesn't grab me, to be honest. It's just a ship that I've got a Mustang. You know, it's not the same as the American Mustang, but it's good. I do like the sense that it does have that. It could just nip around. I reckon this ship would be very good in a firefight. Oh, and obviously but she's still going, right? I've taken off a wing there. But I can sense that it's one of those ships that's not going to give up easily. When I was flying this now, and it didn't seem to lose much of its manoeuvrability, so I don't know how much of that they've started putting into the actual engine yet. I know most of the thrusters are on the backside and everything, but you'd expect something like that would cause some sort of control issue. It didn't seem to do, but it did just carry on, which I kind of thought, well, I wasn't going to add this ship, but I thought, well, we'll do them all. We'll give them all the sort of, them all the same due, and this one really does. The thing is, it does look good. Oh, and that was pretty much the end of that. But yeah, it does have the look about it. It's got the design. It does look pretty cool, and it does what it's supposed to do. Really, it's going to be a racer. I don't actually understand why you need guns on a racer, unless there's going to be sort of targets that you'd pick off. So you shoot the guns there, but I don't understand why you'd need guns on a racer unless there's going to be targets around the racetrack that you actually take out, or is it just defensive purposes? You're going to get shot at by pirates, or is it is it going to be free for all type of races? Are there going to be death races? I've not really read into that sort of thing yet. The races, that's something that I'm particularly, let's say I've lost both the bottoms of the things there. So I probably couldn't land this ship now, but it does carry on. So is there going to be death races? I don't know. And it's one of those things that surely you wouldn't outfit a racing ship with guns. You'd get rid of that weight and put extra thrusters in, or an extra power plant or something like that. So overall, the Mustang Gamma for me looks the part. I like this shade of blue as well. It looks pretty cool. All in all, it looks a bit fragile to me. It does handle quite well, and it does give you that sense that you're actually in a ship. I do like the hood and everything in it. So, let's give this ship, let's say, a 7 or something. But let's just move on to the I think it's 350R. Now the 350R, I hadn't flown it until I'd done this video now, and I literally I loved it straight away. It's another racer, I believe, the 350R, and it's the Knight Riders of the ships, if you ask me. Is this one the 350R? It looks absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it's the 350R as a racing one. And again, I probably wouldn't use the 350 as a racing ship. I'd use this as getting cargo from one place to another pretty damn fast. But it does look awesome, and I am seriously considering swapping this from my LN. I've got an Aurora LN, which I do last. It's one of the last one I do in the list, and I'll explain why I'm going to swap. I think I'm going to swap, actually. I really did fall in love with this ship. It looks good, feels good, you feel immersed, and as you can see from there, it takes a bit of a kicking, which these tests are valid, people. I know it does look like I am a crap pilot, but these tests are valid. You need to crash your ship. You need to know, you know, am I going to be able to take a walloping? Obviously, it does take a bit of a kicking, does this ship, as you can clearly see. So yeah, I fell in love with the 350R here, and I think I'm really going to swap for this ship, kit it out. Maybe I'd like to use the 350 as like a smuggler or something like that. I think it'd be, you wouldn't be able to smuggle a great deal, but you'd get there quick and you'd get there in style. And like I said, the whole idea of this experiment was to see how I felt outside the vessel, how I felt it handled, and the 350R blew me away. Definitely has the manoeuvrability. I could get around the asteroid field a lot better than I do with a lot of the other ships. I felt in control with this ship, and it just the way it scoots around. You know, if you were being chased by somebody, I think this is definitely the ship for you. Once you've got these manoeuvres down and everything, you don't have a problem. Kitting it out, well, it depends. The aspects for this ship are same again. It depends what you want to use it for. I can imagine myself just excuse me, but I did just make my pilot black out from the manoeuvres there as well. So if you're just wondering what's going on, yeah, come back, lads. And thanks for that. And yeah, I could imagine using this racing, the 350 racing version, as like a some sort of crafty merchant, you know, or getting VIPs from one place to another in secret. But you can see from the footage, I'm not the best of pilots, people. I don't claim to be, but just the way it gets around, as you can see from there, I'm not the best of pilots. But the ship takes the kicking it needs, and I think it'd be ideal. There is the Interceptor as well, which we'll get to in a minute. But this one, I think I'm almost sold myself that I'm going to go for this over the Aurora LN, and I'll explain why when I get to the LN. You'll have to excuse me, guys. I've been ill for the past couple of weeks, so this is the first video I've put out for a while. So if I sound like an old frog, I apologise. But yeah, just the general look of the ship, it just looks, to me, it looks awesome. You've got the 325A, which I think's got the red stripes, and the 315P, the Exploration, and the 300i Touring, which that I may go for that one over this. I'm not sure yet, because I don't particularly want the racer. I just like the idea of having it in the hangar so I could bring my friends around. So we'll move on to the Interceptor, the M50. Again, this ship looks wicked, and it does really look good. Excuse me, it looks really good. Again, it's a racer, racer interceptor type thing, and it looks, to me, it's a bit boisterous, but this looks like a racer. Look at it. Do you know what I mean? This looks like, if you were watching the Red Bull racing, this is the ship you'd expect to be in there. All these guys doing the loop-the-loops or doing silly jumps or everything. Again, with the guns, you look cool again in the cockpit. When you're actually in the cockpit, you do feel as though you're in a classy ship. You feel like you're surrounded by quality, and it's once again, This to me is better than the 350R. Not that my flying proves that, but it is better than 350R for scooting around the asteroid. It was a lot. I felt a lot more in control, but the 350R had a little bit more character to it, and it wasn't so boisterous in the colours and everything. But this again, I can imagine if you were to put 350 in this on a one-to-one chase in this sort of scenario, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see who'd come out on top, and you know, maybe even if you wanted to throw the Mustang Gamma in the mix as well. But I don't think the Mustang Gamma's got anything on this or the 350R. People might disagree with me, but I definitely would suggest, because this is free flight. Just, you know, I don't know what's going on. I've got a general idea of direction and everything, as you can see, but I felt in control again with this vessel within the asteroids, which is, you know, it's not easy. I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, because it isn't easy flying these ships in this third-person mode, because I don't know, I'm not getting collision warnings or anything like that. But look at, you know, this general manoeuvres like that, it makes me look cool. So I like a ship that makes me look good. All right, so anything, if that's not a good enough reason for you to like this, the M50 Interceptor, I don't know what is. It's as simple as that. It's a decent, it's a good ship. It's a tough little ship as well, actually. I did crash this a few times, but I did actually genuinely feel that this ship, you had more control. It had the better reactions when I needed to stop, or when I needed to, you know, when you've got that momentum and you're moving towards an object, you're always going to carry on going in that direction with your inertia. But the ship, if you flip the ship, and you know, you want to try this, if you flip the ship, this ship compensates and slows you down in such a way that it's really cool to watch. But if you were in a firefight, you'd have to really watch that, because at that point you are slowing down and you could literally nearly come into a stop at certain points. So you know, it is a good idea, I think, to do silly things like this, and have a little fly around, and you can see what sort of direction, see what sort of takes your toll on your vessel. You can even knocking your pilot out. That's an achievement for me. It really was. I didn't think I'd get my pilot to black out, but I did. So yeah, the other thing was, obviously you can see what's going on with the vessel, and it's a good idea, because there's obviously there is a science to the game, and they are putting a lot of information and a lot of detail into that science. So you know, everything's got force. So like this, when I'm going around with the asteroids here, and I do this move here, even though it does look like I'm continuously moving, I've literally just done you can't say 180, but it is literally 180, and I've come to a stop at certain points. If somebody's chasing you in an asteroid field, or even in open space, when you've got that stop of momentum, you're a sitting duck. So yeah, so I'm rabbiting on, I apologise, but the M50 Interceptor, again, I did really like this. I thought it was cool. You look good, it looks good, it's got a good feel to it, and I would suggest to anybody out there to get in these ships and give them a little play. So let's move on to the one that I own. Obviously I have a Constellation, but I've also got the Aurora, and it's the LN, and the LN is the military one. Excuse me again, ladies and gentlemen. I was actually looking forward to flying this ship, because I've always liked this ship. I've always seen this ship as the underdog, because it literally is. It's an underdog, you know. It looks like a bug, and it's not particularly nice to look at. But I'd have thought that when they released the ship, they'd have tried to give it a selling point. But when I flew it, which I am obviously in the video here, well, let's start with this. The pilot looks like, he doesn't look as cool as the rest. He doesn't look as comfortable. In fact, he actually looks a little bit worried, and he also looks like he fell out of the original Star Wars series, where the rest of us are in the future, and the new Star Wars, and you know, the the Return of the Jedi or whatever. This guy's still stuck in the original series where they haven't had digital revamp, and he looks like he's wearing an American football hat, for God's sake. So there is that. He doesn't look comfortable, doesn't look cool, and I don't care what you say, you've got to look cool when you're flying your ship, right? And the other thing is, this thing, when I was flying it, it felt, you can see from the video here, I'm going to crash it obviously, but it doesn't have a lot going on. It doesn't see, it just feels like you're flying a, it feels like you're flying a refrigerator from space, and I was very disappointed with it. I don't know what the selling point of this ship is. I don't understand. To me, I thought I wanted to buy this ship because, like I say, it was the underdog. It's not a very big ship, fair enough, but it's not also. I don't know if it's going to be like, if it's just supposed to be the most. I don't even know anymore. Flying it spoilt this ship for me, and I think they need to do something with it. They need to give it a market, make it so people want to fly this ship. You know, everyone else is going to want your 350Rs and your M50 interceptors. Obviously, this was one of the first ships you could actually get in your hangar, and it's got all the nice animations whilst it's in the hangar. But it literally, it's so rigid, and it doesn't feel like a vessel like the others do. And I don't feel like I'm flying something. When I'm in this, I just feel like I'm flying a square object, and I've got this beautiful scenery and this asteroid field around me. But when I'm in this, all I see is the scenery. I don't see the ship. The ship to me just feels, it might as well just be a white square or a black square in the middle of the page. And you remember the old arcade game where you were the triangle and you just sat in the middle of the screen shooting all the asteroids? This is what it felt like. Nobody's taking notice of this vessel. It doesn't look the part. It seems to be. It's like they've just threw it out there and then forgot about it, and now they're more bothered about all these other ships, and they're giving all these other ships the time of day. And this to me is lost. It's lost in this. This simulation, shall we say? It is quite manoeuvrable. I'll give it its due through the asteroid fields. The guns and everything sound. You don't look good in it, right? So, and I know it sounds vain, but you don't. Not compared to any of the other ships. You don't look good in it. You look like a 1930s American football player with a leather cap on in it, and it wasn't selling it. It's really put me off it. Once I was able to fly it and take it out, I've really been put off it. I really have. It's yeah, I don't want to really slag it off anymore than I really have to, but because it kind of speaks for itself. You can see. I don't know if anyone can agree with me that's watching this footage of it now. It doesn't do anything. It's just an object in space, which seems a bit stupid, but it is. And I don't know if any of you agree with I've got to say, and I don't know if you agree with anything I've had to say with the other ships, because in most sense it's just general rambling. But I would definitely suggest, if anybody's wants to put anything out there, and make your own reservations and your own criticisms about the ships, but I actually enjoyed doing this little, shall we say, experiment from outside the vessels, and it does give you a good feel for the vessels. You do feel like you can see the difference with them all, and it's opened my eyes to a few things. It's good that they've released this, and the one thing I'm really looking forward to getting out there is obviously I want to get my Constellation. I want to fly that. That's the ship I want to get out. I want to give that a little bit of a play out there. Obviously I don't know when that's going to be, and obviously go and have a look at some, obviously part of the Praxis, and go and have a look at all my friends' hangars and see what ships they've got, and have a little nosy around, and have a look through their underwear drawer in their Constellations, and see what dirty magazines they're hiding under their clothes and bunk beds in their vessels. So I leave you with this poor 1930s American footballer sitting in my Aurora LN. Even that view, you see, doesn't look like it's doing great, but I'll leave you with that. I'd like you to have a little think, see what you think. Take your ships out. I'd like you to agree with me, but I'd also like you to disagree with me. Could somebody tell me what the Aurora LN is all about? Okay, so have a little think about that, guys. Appreciate you watching, and stay sexy, and thank you very much.